So, okay, we're live. Awesome. So, yeah, welcome guys. So, what I'm doing here at the moment is I'm creating a graphical like a GUI application in Python for teachers. Basically, what happens is when we get new students and that sometimes they have a little bit of trouble logging in. I get given a student's name with specific spelling, and sometimes the student goes by a different name, which we don't really find out until the student is at school and tries to log in. So we might have a Dylan, and he might go by Dale or something like that. It's, I don't know, something far fetched. But anyway, so what I've done is I'm using PyAD, which is our Active Directory Python module. So I'm using config parser as well. So here we're going to read a config file. So I'll have the credentials for the server in here, like with the domain user and pass and all that kind of stuff, and the users OU, organizational unit, and just the domain name to call upon the user if we need to, which at the moment I'm not really utilizing that, but we can certainly expand the application from there on. So at the moment, so we're calling that getting the credentials and that kind of stuff, and then um, the teacher will input into, so this is just a bit of window stuff, like to make sure the window so I'm getting the actual screen width of the person's screen, and then halving it by 2, and then halving the width of the application by 2 as well, and then moving it in the geometry to make sure it's centered in the middle of the screen. And this is just to prevent them from resizing the application. That way I don't have to worry about scaling and that kind of nonsense. So it'll be a fixed size. So if we come down here, we've got the student box. So here I'm calling a function on a key press. So that way, if they input something incorrectly, it'll show a error label, and then when they rephrase their search, it'll remove that label and start fresh again. So and just also binding the return key to initiate the search, so they can just enter the name and hit enter without having to click the button. But yeah, the button will call the search function and go from there. And then I've got like a tree view here that I'll populate with the information that I pulled from Active Directory on the specific users. So let's take a look at the search function. And here I'm using wildcard parameters on the actual display name. So they can search for the person via the display name, and if a portion of that name exists in a different person, then that'll get added to the what am I using? I'm using a so I'm using an array. So I can't remember the name of what it's called, but it's like a JSON array. But anyway, so it gets added to that with their SAM account name as the identifier, and then it goes from there by adding it's a dictionary. That's the one. That's what I'm looking for. So and then it adds in the key name, key email, and key title, and then we populate that with their actual display name, their mail, like their email, and their title. So I'm using the mail parameter because the reason I'm using that is I know, like I create the users, so I know that I populate the mail attribute. But really, what I should be doing is getting the SAM account name and also the domain name associated to the user, and then joining them together um, to create like probably the user principal name is really what I should be pulling from the instead of mail, but that's just easier. So I know that it's populated, so that's all good. So without further ado, so I've got it set for my server here at home at the moment with my debug file. So when I actually compile the application into an exe, I'll actually populate the settings INI before I issue it to staff. So yeah, so what I actually might do also is encode these three parameters with base64, I reckon, and then decode them when they're read into and populated to the variables. So here I'd probably just add like a base 64 decode function to decode it, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. So we'll test it out. So this is what we've got so far. Now if I search just with one key, say the search is not valid, so we've got that. And if I do double Q, so there's nothing found. So we're returning that, and that's getting returned. Where are we? We need to go to here. I'll pop that back up, and so here's where we're returning the labels, and I'm configuring it with a new foreground color. So that way, if it does actually return something, then our foreground color will then be green, and it'll give you the count, like the number of results that it finds. So if I come here and search SH, so we've got 4 results, which is not correct. So I'm counting from, I'm counting from 1. Never mind. 1, 2, 3. Okay. That should be 3 results. I don't know where the one. Oh yeah, true. Yeah, so this is where we're getting it from. So you'll have their name, their email, and their title. So the title gives the teacher what they know. So basically from um like a student, it'll say like year 7 student, year 8 student, year 9 student, therefore and they're on. So that way the teacher can also verify the year level that the student has been placed into on our AD. So I can fix that by changing that to a 0. And I might actually add some checkboxes. So what I could probably do, actually, probably an easier way I could probably go about it, but I really don't want to bother with it. So I need to finish up on these checks. Where open. I need to open to the left. Where was that? Split right. So, and we need self-serve equals false also. And we need to do, so that's all right. So if comp fail, continues false, we're all good. So that way, come here, get config, and when we initiate the search, and what we want to do to start with, actually can do, oh no, thought that's JavaScript. True, turn, but after we return, I called it error or something. That label, label error. Text. Yeah, we need to be red. So that's just to keep my linter happy. So because like these here comments after the strings, type ignore. That's to stop the lint, the PyLinter from actually underlining and reading as a like an unknown. So here you can see on the hover, label error is unknown, and that's because I have declared that label in the GUI function. So and you'll also notice that here in functions, like these these ones here don't have the underline or the comments after them, because they've been declared in the actual main function in the root file. So here they've all been declared here. So yeah, they're not pulling errors. All right, so it fails and get an error. Turn. Excellent. So what we're going to do is turn leave debug on, but rename the debug, and then we'll run the program. Server config settings failed. Perfect. What I'm after. Okay. So that didn't initiate a search or anything, which was fantastic. That's error handling handled. So I am not multiple. So the serves was to issue on a previous application that I built that like, why do I have, I can't remember why I used state there. Self-domain domain is that. Yeah, that's good. If that does exist, is filled in, it doesn't equal less than 3, basically say well it's false. So that must have been on the previous application that I created. So I created an AD tool so you can create users, list locked users, and that kind of stuff. That way, like if someone's having trouble logging in, I can just open the application, hit list locked users, and it'll list everyone in a list that's accounts have been locked. And I can either click the button to unlock all, or I can select an individual, unlock them, and then investigate why other users have been locked, so on. So that's what that was. So I don't need serves because the AD tool was used. As you can see here, you can create like another one underneath it. So we could take that and name that, something else, and then we could change that here and like in the get the config to that user, or we could create a list box with a settings section down below with all the companies in an array, like the value as an array, and then go from there. But yeah, there's many options to do. But for now, all we're doing is getting this running so we can list the users and have some good error handling. So if I search for QWERTY, hang on, setting dash debug. Server config failed. Okay, so I've done something wrong here somewhere. And we're going to find where that is. So, oh, silly me. Oh yeah, so no, if it does equal true. There we go. I caught it. I eventually got it. There we go. Search invalid. Alright, nothing found. That's good. So I do monstrosity. Okay, that's good. Alright, so I need to try and make it completely foolproof. Okay, so that didn't pull. Alright, so why is that not pulling up? So conf fail definitely equals true. Alright. Let's find out. Conf fail equals false. Now that's not good. Self server equals self parser get section is the computer's server. Interesting. Why didn't that print? That should have printed. Self.server. Get section serve. Yes. Oh, okay. I see what I'm doing there. All right. We don't need to do that. That should have printed right there. Get config. Hmm. Gonna fix. Oh no, I don't want to do that. All right, so not that. Some. Oh no, that's right. The reading setting. Oh, but the settings file doesn't have. Silly me. There we go. Okay. There we go. Server config. There we go. Alright, as you can see down here, it hit and it found. The server string was nothing and comp failed was true. So it comes through, hits the server string. Now we want to get rid of the hyphens. So we'll just say self parser get section server dot when -1. Oops. go. Oops. Right, found nothing. Bang. True. Excellent. Okay. Now what we want to do is not let it get that far. Okay, so when we fire it up, bang, server config and settings failed. And we also want to button search, what is it, states equals tk disabled. So that way, can't click search, disabled, and we'll also disable the student box. Basically, they can't use the application. They fix the issue that they are having. Okay. Now that we've sorted that out, we shouldn't need this anymore. Just check, sorts all of that out. And for order to work, they have to close the application and reopen it again. So that's all good. So we don't need that anymore. So we can just go along and clean up everything. This needs to be debug. So that's working. Now you probably noticed that I've got this Python com co-initialize. I don't know what the go is with that at the moment. So that was something that I spent probably a few hours just constantly searching, trying to find how to solve a problem. So without it, for some reason, I think it has to do with threading. Like I think it's like a cross-threading issue or something like that, maybe. Because it was only when I was calling it through a thread, like a different thread instead of the main application thread, that it actually started to really spaz out and like start throwing some pretty crazy errors. So I found that importing Python com and then initializing it before the actual module gets called, it just seemed to work. So it started working in that, and a lot of it was to do with like permissions of home drives as well. So that's where I noticed it first, to be honest. When creating the user's home drive and then setting the permissions. So in order for the folder redirection to work, so to issue documents directory as the user's network home drive, I needed to set the permissions of the user to full permissions. So all the permissions on the actual directories, like the parent directories and that, are all the same. But when you get to the user directory, so say like Bob, then you go into profiles and there's Bob's folder. Well, Bob needs to have full permissions to that folder. So when he logs in on the domain computer, and then he has full permissions to then rewrite that home directory to his documents directory. So yeah, there was a few little hiccups there where I was going through for that. I see we've got a couple of red marks here. What's going on there? Oh, okay. So my linter's complaining because you know, the box and button not initialized on main thread, initialized on the GUI. It makes no difference because once it's all together, it works like properties, you know, like with React. So we're passing the self property from the init function into the functions module, and the same thing with the GUI module as well. So we're passing self into the GUI module. So when we're initializing self as something to be cast upon throughout the actual application, yeah, it has no effect, so it shouldn't really matter. But anywho, that's how that works. I should probably come back and change that back to Horizon. So debugging done, so that doesn't exist anymore. The GUI's pretty much all set, so scans are here. There's nothing else I really need to add. I changed a lot of the spacing here, so I could probably make this window a little bit smaller. First, what I actually might do that. So what we're going to do is going to go self bind and go configure, and that's going to call let's say resize. So what this is going to do is as the window resizes, it's going to call this resize function, and the reason I am doing like that, actually the wrong place to do it, I need to be on the main thread, so here, and just come say def resize, need to pass in self, and what I might do actually, let's use label error. And so that will be no, it's not win. It'll be self dot win info height. I think so. We'll soon find out. Let's have a look see. Oh yeah, there we go. So pull them in. Oh, I've got to turn off so right. Yeah. We'll see. Nothing showing. get an error either. Way back at the start when yeah. There we go. Why is that not printing? Should be printing. There we go. Ah, syntax, mate, syntax. So if I bring that down, pull that around about there. 360, perfect. So we can come back here and change that from 330 to let's go 360, adding at the bottom. Hey, what's going on? Oh, that's width. There we go. Perfect. But so at 30. Put the scroll bar up against that up. 335. That's better. See, this layout here at the top's a little funky, so what we might do also is fix that up. So we might move the button to the edge, so we can do that here by finding the button and KE. So that's on the frame. It's on frame 2. Going next. Frame 2. Row 1. Column 1. Frame 2 will go column 2. Column 3. see where that lands. There we go, that's good. So that's where we want it. Column O, what we'll do a column span instead of it being one column. So O 1 2 span 3. Have a look at that. Okay, so that's a little much. So what we'll do, column span 2. Okay, that's still good. Now with the search box, do east west. Stretch with the search box. Oh, that's button search. I don't want to do that with button search box. So see that. So I've issued a width here. Get rid of width. I want that's column 1. Ooh, wait mate. Like that. Button search is column O rower. So we say column 1 span of 2. Okay, there we go. A little bit better. It's a framework goal span. I reckon I've got it. So column configure 1 and go weight 2. Set true. Nope, doesn't like one. Okie dokie. Go 100. Oh, down to 6. Okay, getting somewhere. Go 40. Good, good, good. And queen, say, bad. More on that one. So, alright, now we're getting somewhere. Okay, 3. Filing out. 2 and heading X. Lower that to 5. Bingo. So the label should set that a bit. Okay. Notice how that did work. So I'm going to comment that out. So that didn't work because the configure function was overriding everything else. So it was constantly live. It was constantly looping over and over and over. So there we go. There we go. Nothing found. Three results. Perfect. Alright, that seems to be not too bad. So probably sure. Adding. So I've got red. And that's all good. Alright, so well, hopefully you guys learned something and yeah, fun.